Hey everyone, welcome back. It's Lucid, and I am joined once again by Demosthenes.
Hey folks, I'm excited to share more of this Cold Rhaga playthrough with y'all. We've got, big war with Xibalba happening.
Yeah, so last episode, 40 minutes, bit of a long one, but if you missed the end part of it, go back and start watching again, I think around like minute 25, because that's when we have the first part of this war with Zabalba. And I think the short summary is you didn't lose a single battle, like a single raid or anything. So they were caught with their pants around their ankles is maybe not even strong enough words. I think they were caught with like their pants duct taped to their ankles. So
Yeah, and I think one of the things that was critical there is that I was able to have overwhelming force available to hit every single province that was within flying reach of my empire without them having realized that they were about to get attacked.
yeah,
Right, like
yeah, and that was enabled. It was one of the things we were talking about after we clicked off for the last episode. But a lot of that was enabled by your army size items, which are really expensive. They cost a ton of air gems, but you have a huge air income, so you could afford it. And being able to completely bamboozle and surprise them like that was pretty important for this whole thing working. At least as flawlessly as it has so far. Okay.
yeah, that was about one turn of my air income, because I had three, 13 gem after a hammer items. So it's a big investment. If you remember, I cast Galegate. First turn I forged the Robe of the Magi. That was the entire turn's income, and then the next turn I think I forged these three, and that was that turn's income.
Yep.
And as you can see with this war, my gem stocks are all empty now. Part of that is I'm forging a bunch of gear and stuff that is going to be sort of reusable, and part of it is that all of my armies have a bunch of refills of gems I might need on scouts and so on. So I'll be able to pull some of that out later.
So we've got a few magic phase attacks. This Har is coming in, hitting some random province.
I don't remember why I sent horrors there, but I only have like 2 casters for that.
Right.
So I probably had something that was useful. And this is actually the Zabalba fort that was not besieged. It's like a palisades in the south.
Okay.
And
nice. And now it is besieged. Now there were a lot of assassin battles this turn. You lost this guy too. Was this a lifelong protection?
Horror marks. No, this is. I think it's just a random dude. This is somebody. Somebody found the Bell of Infinite Horror. So I've got a few commanders killed that way. I lost a Draconian Chief a couple turns ago, actually. Yeah, so this is
one of the things. If you land on Zabalba's forts, a lot of times they're going to have Black Heart assassins. Oh, dude, that almost
got him. Almost got him, yeah.
Oh, big fire elemental. I think fire elementals beat water elementals most of the time.
Yeah, water elementals have a lot of fire resistance, so it's interesting. I think it's only 12 beyond that size, and so in Heat 3.
Well, they're definitely going to win this.
So this actually gem baits one of my mages for the storming, which I think
he still has this on him, but I don't know if that's going to be able to.
Yeah, so I think he's my Heat from Hellcaster, and that is enough for him to do Phoenix Power or Heat from Hell. But obviously he spent everything else.
But you link the what's he going to do? Ooh, summon an air elemental. He's got a lot of gems on him too.
Yep. This is probably my Fog Warriors caster who's prepared for an army battle gem base, but not an assassination battle.
You're right. I mean, that's about as good of a roll as you could get for an assassination battle. He gets. Why is he moving? Normally they don't move after they've routed.
I think I actually figured this out. So that they will not move if they're not in combat, but if they're in combat, they'll attack, and then it'll be a race to see who dies from having a magic leadership first. But he certainly could have died before that. But it's actually a really good demonstration of this principle.
I knew they would attack, like if they were standing still on attack. I didn't know they would trample, but I guess they would, huh?
Well, I did not know this until this turn. So there's 2 more.
Okay, so this one was a tie. Y'all killed each other. This next one. I think it's important to recognize too, like these guys are fucking expensive. It's 10 slaves and then 10 of these. And like,
and
that other guy, you killed him with like 6 air gems,
Also, I screwed up. My plan had been to put 5 archer bodyguards on each of my mages, and that's but I forgot to. So That guy unfortunately just has pearls, and he
Right.
gets his one roll at doing a soul slayer or whatever.
Yeah.
and it
Pearls
doesn't
are
work.
not very
So that, I think,
useful.
was my-
Just Astral in
Yeah.
general is pretty bad most of the time in assassinations.
And then the fourth one actually I think is also interesting.
Yeah, this
to
is
watch.
your
This
you
is
going after this these. Oh,
master.
be nice if you
I
were able to
actually
keep an open inventory spot to try to steal this.
Yeah, I hadn't caught that he had. I thought it was. Yeah, I didn't see that he had that, or I would have done a different build.
Yeah.
But I think it works very cleanly.
Cool.
I think the fourth Zabalba assassination attempt is worth watching too. I think we missed the very last of them.
This one?
Okay. That's the one where I have some bodyguards. And actually, I think that's one just the
Yoink.
item gets them. Even if it, I didn't have the item, you can see that the flyers had a good chance of landing on something.
Yeah. For sure. Cool. That's very cool. So, what do we have now? We've got battle here.
We got this is my Skelly spammer who is going to take another province and runs into Patala,
okay.
also Bull Train Zabalba.
Gotcha.
Because they'd sort of been fighting before.
Right.
I'd say really continuing their war.
Okay. This was just moving around this stack, which.
Yeah, I think the ghouls I'd summoned basically just to protect the mage who was doing quickening on the imps, and they went to the sort of cave province that I thought was most likely to be defended by Zabalba.
Right.
So that's what that raid was.
Okay.
Another Patala
Patala's moving around. Atlantis has attacked Zabalba too. Strange.
Well, they're actually I think contacted me before this turn saying that they've been thinking about attacking Zabalba. We're going to go do something else. So I think I spooked them sufficiently that they didn't want to fight me. I don't really know what they're going to do, but
yeah,
I did tell them that I encouraged them to vulture that as a thing for them to do.
Right. Yeah, probably not the right call at this point, because there's a point where it's like, yeah, you can work with position one on all sorts of things, but there's a point of no return, and the game is entering that right now.
Though Atlantis may not know that. They are the nation that is furthest from my center.
Right. But I mean, that's what I was talking about with diplomacy too. It's like,
Yep.
Fog Warriors is out, Wailing Winds is out. Now, what is Zabalba doing? This is which army was this, by the way? This was the one.
This was the army in that western fort that had a ton of bats in it. And
right, this is the one where you were saying evocation early was going to be really important. So we've got all the flame eruptions come out.
Yeah, look at all those bats getting deleted.
Yeah, there's a lot of dead bats. All right, that wasn't Army of Gold. What was that sound I heard? Oh, Will of Fates.
Yeah. So one of the interesting things for me is because I'm casting Keep from Hell, I don't want to do mass protection.
Right.
It's also the case that a lot of my units are these Draconians who don't really benefit from it.
Right.
So a lot of my scripting here is sort of built around, defenses with Will of the Fates and Fog Warriors as how my guys don't die. I think I actually screwed up this battle. I think that those elementals were not intended.
Yeah.
I was intending somebody who wasn't on conservative gem usage who was supposed to.
He has no mages here, though.
You can see that.
Not a single mage.
I think their mages left is what happened, and I don't know why the Zots guards didn't. Maybe they're not stealthy. Maybe the guards are.
They're not stealthy.
Ooh. It's only the basic ones that are stealthy, I think.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, I did not know that. So that explains what happened here.
I mean, he should have still attacked out and retreated, but yeah.
There's nowhere to run to.
Well, I mean, you can make a place to run to.
Yeah, but if you look at the geography, this was that fort in the west, and I actually have sort of strong forces in 3 provinces around.
I mean, he could just attack here with his army in his capital. Of course, you can attack.
And that has he could definitely have used his capital army to say that. If but remember, I had his capital in check, so he I think he had sort of the issue that if he does that, I could move onto his capital and get between his army.
Yeah, I mean, point taken, but this is 200 troops that you spent gold to retreat.
This is a lot of his army. He should not have
sacrificed it. You attack out, you retreat, you save 100 of them, and Roomba's coming alive.
But I guess it is worth highlighting that my positioning here was to put a force that is going to kill most raiding parties in all of those provinces, and that was actually for my own defense. Like I was expecting possibility of keep flies in a big forest with a Wailing Wind
and Firestorm, very nice.
Route me. So this was a Firestorm. And plus some cheap mercs.
Yeah.
So it was like burn the mercs if there's a fight there. And
but he needed to do that because it's like if you're playing to I hesitate to even say win, but to stay in the game,
playing to cause damage even.
Yeah,
right?
you have to ride out. You can't sit in your fort. Like sitting in your cap is the worst possible move you could do. There wasn't a battle here either. So yeah, you don't want to sit in your cap.
Remember that one to the east is the one I'd besieged with a scout.
Right, this one.
After having horrors kill the PD.
So there were two moves. I think he needed to split this cap army, put enough here. And I mean, some of this Monday morning quarterbacking, but I couldn't have known this last turn because I didn't know he didn't have mages in here or not enough mages to defend. If you're not going to defend this and you can't sneak the army out, you must split the cap army and take this province. Whether or not he would take it with something that would be able to survive this, who knows? But you have to try.
I was frankly surprised he didn't at least try to do some sort of interference or defense or whatever. Because even if he just marches his cap army in a random direction, he'll probably kill whatever medium-sized squad that I had to kill sort of 20 bats. You know.
And then the other thing is you have to, when you're being assaulted on this many fronts, you have to take your biggest army and take fights, right? So then this cap army had to mobilize over here, which was pretty much the logical move for you to go. If you moved on top of the cap, you probably patrol with the colossal head with some silly script, and mobilize the cap army over this way. So,
though I will say that I think the colossal head, he probably knows that army has a big astral communion with several penetration items. Like it is probably not the type of thing you want to fight with it, but on your capital, you get the Dominion bonus to MR, you cast Iron Will, like you might, with some gear, you might be able to get the colossal head up to 30 or so and endure it.
Yeah.
Or just earthquake, they'll kill you, but you take 10 mages,
I mean, you have to do something. Stasis is not acceptable. So let's look at this one. Okay, so this was cool. This was the cave battle.
This actually made a 15 error that is potentially significant, which is that I brought a Staff of Storms, and so I did a formation that assumes that flyers would not fly.
Yeah.
This is a cave. You can't have a storm in a cave. So it doesn't actually do anything. So you can see that their bats actually just land, and Yida Mage and I think also the Frost Demon bodyguards get chopped up too.
How about that?
I actually possibly should have just moved them out. The Frost Demons, are really bad in this, but I sort of just wanted them as extra bodyguards for assassination battles where they, still be useful. So anyway, I lost a couple mages. Nothing important. I think it was both ungeared.
Okay,
that's where the assassinations.
This is where the assassinations were. So this one, you're not going to have Fog Warriors, which you wanted. And he has mages here, so he's committed to defending this at least a bit. So this is going to be probably the coolest battle of this turn. Strength of Giants coming out, Flaming Arrows.
And Wailing Winds.
And Wailing Winds. This is going to be beautiful. Now, bats do not have good morale, if memory serves.
And they're like 9 base morale. He's got some experience.
9,
or whatever. But.
And then these corpse constructs are not going to hold up well. Let's take a look at his guys, see if he got any buffs on them. Nope.
I think he actually...
Strength of Giants maybe or something. Yeah.
I think he actually told me that he hadn't realized that this fort was cracked. But I don't think it would have... No, the only thing he could have done is save the mages, I think. Like, it's just... No. I think one type of thing that I would have done if I were him in this battle is scripted one of the ways to cast haste, which is this sort of rarely cast spell that increases combat speed. And that way they could have at least gone in and done some shock damage to the Draconians with their...
That shock damage, by the way, people think it's like the charged body.
It's capped to 1, right?
Yeah, it's just 1. It's like the Storm Spool. It's not like the charged body from the spell.
Yeah. But, if you look at a Draconian, right? Draconians, they're got a bunch of hit points, but, if they're stunned so that the defense skill is 0, the 9 protection, they're going to get beat up by...
They're not going to get beat up by corpse constructs, though. I mean, they're going to...
If they're... They will. That's actually... I think I might have cast Thunderfend in this battle for that, or certainly in one of the battles I was doing that.
And maybe if they're completely surrounded or something. But, I mean... Draconians are just so far superior to corpse constructs.
Let's be clear. I think if they'd cast fire resistance and they'd cast, some other things, they could have killed Draconian 7. It wouldn't have been a lot, right?
Yeah.
Like that. There's no outcome where this forest kills much, but
not with what we saw. I mean, maybe if they had, like Zabalba, as a nation, given lots of resources and blood slaves and stuff, like they can fight you. It's not like it's a national matchup where it's like they're boned. But given what they had here, I don't think there was a way. So, okay. Oh dear God. Oh God. Oh God.
This is turn 2 of the war.
Oh God. It's happening. Okay. So tell me, okay, so you've taken 3 of their forts. You've got the 4th one under, okay, you got 2 more under siege this turn. This is the last of their forts under siege, except for their cap.
Yeah, so I think I'm moving on to the cap with the army on that fort east of the cap, and then moving some of my other forces that had just won sieges onto that fort so that I can storm it in the cap at the same time next turn if they don't fight me on the fort on their cap.
So what is the plan for dealing with the colossal head? Because I think that's the only real variable here. I'm not sure how that's going to work.
Yeah, I think basically the plan is
these lions are going to be pretty good for that.
The lions, I don't think the lions will have any ammunition left by the time that, like, if he patrols with just the colossal head, exactly, the lions will be a tool for that. But I think if he patrols with just the colossal head, you can see that I have a couple of my lizard shamans with +4 penetration gear. And I think it would be not impossible, but hard to, make a super combatant resist that. I actually would be excited if you rode out with Father
You
Iller.
couldn't charm. I mean, they could. Are you thinking they'd soul slay?
Soul slay. Yeah. Soul slay him, yeah. Soul play the pretender, or if it's Father Iller, I think I actually have a good chance of charming him. And then he has to have shock resistance gear and anti-magic gear.
Yeah.
Like, and because you've only got like the 2 misc slots, or maybe even 1, I don't remember, for that pretender. Like, he needs the amulet of anti-magic, and he needs the ring of shock resistance, and even so, he'll still be able to take damage from both lightning and and potentially get full.
Do you have
that's sort of the bind.
Do you have weapons of sharpness?
Designed to. I do.
That would be a really nice. Maybe this guy could do it. Is this guy do it? Oh, and if he could do it,
that guy
he could do it, but you have to jump in a communion.
I think there's like 3 of them now, and I think that there's one who's scripted to do that in a communion. If not, I messed up. I definitely intended to.
Yeah, scrolling through, I didn't see it, but I miss these things all the time.
I think the one who's got a bunch
giants.
Yeah.
Astro healing. Oh, here we go. A couple casts. The only risk with this is you're probably not going to hit your flyers.
Yeah, this army I don't think has much flyers. Like, if you look at, I guess we can't see the formation easily this turn, but if you look at it, this is an army that stands there with a wall of archers with heavy cav in the front with a small group of flyers. And my guess is he'd kill a
I feel good about this. I feel pretty good about this. Cool. That's awesome. Okay. And this turn you're doing the big attack against Patala, right?
So, and this...
Storm, Fog Warriors.
Firestorm, Heat from Hell. I think I have Will of the Fates. Rigor Mortis one is interesting. So I have a bat there to do Rigor Mortis, hold 3 turns, and then retreat in a communion.
That's weird.
My plan there is basically I want to spike their communion enough so that their army doesn't reach me due to Heat from Hell, but I don't want to put all of my mages to sleep. I'm not sure it's going to work, but that is the plan. The plan is to add, like, 30 to 50 fatigue to their army, and my army.
Huh. Aerofin turn 1, I like. That's what I was looking for.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
I love this. This is beautiful. Phoenix Pyre attack rear. Yes. Fucking yes.
Yeah.
You know the way to make this better.
A little explosion.
Yeah, Medallion of Vengeance, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, this is sort of, I think probably if I was playing optimally, I should have spent a little less fire gems on alchemy and made some more fire gear. I just ran out of forging capacity, to do that.
I mean, this is beautiful because this is going to open up Miklin's capital to you.
Fortunately, you can see one of those huge armies that Patala is walking around is in the retreat paths for that huge army.
Right.
And that army north of Miklin is too big for me to magic phase something that's going to kill it. Like, if you look at it, it's like 260 units. I think it's got a bunch of mages, a Sea King Thug. No, it's not a lot of mages, but it's got a Sea King Thug.
Yeah.
Who's probably going to make a mess out of horrors or whatever I can magic phase in. And that one's got like 20 mages. So unfortunately, I also don't have any flyers that can, like, troops that could reach that army. I just don't have a way to sort of.
But I think what's going to happen, he probably, like, maybe he attacks here. I feel like Patala has to attack you this turn.
That's what I was expecting, yeah. As it turns out, he doesn't, but I think I could have attempted to fly, like, that squad of imps that's currently sieging the fort one west of the Blinking Province, and then
Right.
and hope that we get to cut the retreat route. I ended up deciding it wasn't a worthwhile gamble, but
Oh yeah,
if he,
because he could have combined
it's very
these armies
possible.
here.
Yeah, it's very possible that I should have just waited a turn in hopes that, sort of waited for him to not have two armies
Yeah.
next to each other to do this play. But
I think like
I sort of wanted to
if
move before he
I were
got organized.
if I were Patala and I didn't have a good sense of the game state, I would probably just friendly communicate to you and be like, "Hey, we're fighting this war against Zabalba. Do you mind if I get more of the land?" And be like, "Hey, can I get these?" Like that would be at a minimum what I would do. And then if he said no, then I would kind of have an idea what's coming. Because like
yeah, that's right.
But this Patala is not very communicative, so I don't think we should expect that.
Yeah. Now the other news this turn is that Gath contacted me ending our non-aggression pact. So
did you
at least Gath has?
Did you ask him about it, or did they figured it out on their own?
They had a scout on top of. So one of the things that's a little bit unfortunate about this Zabalba Blitz War is that one of their forts is a throne. So I actually took a fourth throne this turn through that, and they had a scout there. So I don't think that they know that I just ate all of Zabalba. Like I sort of think that their scouting is just they know that I took a throne from Zabalba.
Right.
So I think that they're maybe not. They may not understand the full nature of the game state.
Right.
But anyway, so one of the things I'm starting to do is the army that took the western Zabalba fort is already flying back to position itself onto the Gath border.
Okay, I like that. I like that. The thing I think you should be thinking about is I think it's time to drop Wailing Winds. I mean, not Wailing Winds, Dark Skies soon. I think that
I don't have any air jump.
Oh, I mean, you say
I
don't think you should do a big cast. I think you just drop it. There's an open spot. You don't have to override anything. This spot's empty.
Oh, really? It's 6.
Yeah, let me double check.
Oh, I thought it was only 5 slots, and it doesn't say there.
Yeah, go look in the Discord channel.
Colors.
It'll tell you.
Yeah, that's the point. I somehow had been thinking that we were full on slots, and I think you are right that there is a space.
There's a space, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Oops.
Because that's what you do. You don't need to kill Gath. You just need to keep Gath from killing you, and you win.
Yeah, I think that is one of my options. I think I have a few other options. I actually do want, if I want to win the game, take Gath's throne that's on my border. It is one of the 3 thrones that are most accessible to me. So just 2 south of that province.
You started. You haven't started Dom sac or blood sacrificing either, but you're preaching at least.
I'm preaching with like 5 priests, so that does switch Dominion pretty fast.
You can. You are a blood sacrificing nation, right? Or am I wrong about that?
Don't think so.
Nope, you're not. Okay, so just preaching in forts. Yeah,
I've got a bunch of H2 priests, so I can really push it pretty high that way.
Do we know? Okay, we saw that the army that killed Ulm. So this is the thing. I think Gath is at a point where he's going to come at you when he attacks with like 40 or 50 seer as part of a primarily human and Gibber army. And what that means is when you put up Wailing Winds, you're going to rout with Blood Rain and Dark Skies up, even if it's only like 4 or 5 candles. With Dark Skies and Blood Rain, they'll just instantly rout. You'll rout all the army and the mages, and the Sahir are going to be there going berserk, and they'll just get slaughtered to the man.
Yeah, I think roughly, it'll see what I do. Like one thing I could do is put a bunch of creeping dooms, block them, and then thunderstrike them to death. Or there's a bunch of ways to do it. But yeah, that's sort of my battle plan. Is to just bring a superior mage force in the first place and do Wailing Winds. And I think if they have sort of an economic disadvantage against me, they might be able to still sort of win that type of fight, but I hope is just bring overwhelming force. One problem I have is I don't actually have a huge amount of chaff on that front, so that's actually where my gold is going for the next few turns is just, making enough blockers to do bodyguards and stuff like that.
I would as much as you can. I mean, I think you don't really want to slow down conquering Zabalba or Patala, but I would try to save most of those air gems and just drop like a super. Do you have any discount sites for Thom?
The only discount site I have is a Conjuration one taken from Zabalba.
Okay. Well, I would just try to drop a super. How much is it even to cast Dark Skies? Let's see. 50. I would just drop a casual 50 Dark Skies. See what happens. But I would do it on the first turn you expect Gath to attack you, because it will take place in the magic phase. So
Exactly.
But
yeah, I think that's basically my current strategy is to just stockpile air gems from here. I think I'll even actually I think if you look around some of these forts, I have like a few mages who have air gems still on them. Part of that is because I don't know if Zabalba has some assassins that are stealth in the province that might try to murder my mages for vengeance or whatever.
Yeah.
But sort of seeing what Zabalba's gem income was like, I don't expect that. I think that killing those 3 water bottle assassins actually probably really hurt.
Yeah.
In that they probably lost some fighting Zabalba, and they just don't have a big water income.
Well, I mean, I think the thing is, you can't. I mean, these are expensive investments, and when they're gone, I mean, this was not true. This is like a global worth of stuff he lost almost. I mean,
30 gems and 30 blood slaves.
Was that it? I thought he lost more.
Because he won one, so one of his.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, yeah, you're right. Okay, so it's only 30 and 30. Yeah. So okay, not quite. Global's overstating it, but
if you look at his land, it's basically I think just his capital that's water gems. It's really, he's really had bad site searching luck.
Right.
So maybe he can trade some with somebody, but he doesn't have any gems to trade.
But I think this is a good thing too to mention, because people cry about assassins all the time. You didn't even have anything special for assassins. You're going to, because you talked about doing bodyguard stuff. You didn't have anything special, and he had these expensive assassins, and Zabalba Blackheart assassins are supposed to be some of the best. And they're dead.
And the best, what I've found sort of when I was testing early in this game against Pangea is just having 5 Arya archers, sort of my super basic archer troop. There's a pretty good chance that they put an arrow into either the water elemental and sort of chip it down that way, or into the mage right at the start of the battle. And so I think for most nations you can put 5 crossbow indie crossbowmen on bodyguard duty, and it really adds to the risk for the assassination.
Yeah. Okay, I think that's it for this turn. Let's just go. We'll do the last turn. We're already at 30 minutes, but I feel like we can kind of.
That makes sense.
I think this one we can just watch for spectacle.
Yeah, I think I have not really played turn 53, and we will get to see some of the fun battles we were just talking about the scripting for.
Oh, this looks funny.
So I don't know why this battle occurred. Actually, maybe I do. I think what happened is I scripted that guy to attack, but it turns out that he actually attacked before the horrors. I actually saw that he was building a fort in that province.
Yeah.
And so I sent some horrors to kill the fort, and then I was going to take it.
Yeah, you have to attack from an adjacent province. This guy was in Wesh when he attacked. He wasn't moving attack.
Oh,
yeah.
Never. Lost his scout.
Yeah.
But
okay. But you did take the fort out and killed the Brahmin, so very cool. You get the other Windmaster. And
then we have
a bunch of battles. Let's. Do you remember which one was the big one?
The Linnea Gora. I can see. Nope.
No.
We can look at these waiting ones too. This is Winter Wolves. I haven't actually summoned any, but I had a site that gives you 2 Winter Wolves a turn.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Whatever you do does.
Green Sea, Azamar.
Azamar.
Wait, he's attacking you here in the Green Sea, right? Oh no, that's Zabalba.
He's attacking Zabalba. The Green Sea bump is actually interesting, so I would
yeah,
do that
we'll go watch that. Is this it? This looks like it. All right, popcorn out, boys. Woo! Oh man, I'm so excited to see this. Look how many yogis there are. Holy fuck. These aren't troops, guys. These are mages.
It's like 40 of them.
Holy fuck. Holy fuck. All right.
And also that there's 3 Sea Kings and their entourages.
Yeah.
62 PD, I think it is.
God, if you won the game just by piling up troops and mages in a single province and not moving them, Patala would be well on his way to winning this one.
Yeah. You should pause right now. So, at Archer Volley is where things go awry for my plan.
I see a Communion Master dead here.
Yeah, and I think he wasn't important, but the shaman I think was my Will of the Fates caster.
Ooh.
That guy I think wasn't important. And you can see there's a fire mage who just disappeared there. That was my Firestorm caster.
Ooh, he was critical.
We are not casting Firestorm. And I actually, the reason that this went wrong is I didn't have a lab in the province that I'd snuck this army into, which he was part of, the sneaking group. And I also could not fly any of my other fire mages there, so I didn't have a shield to give him. There's no way to fix it, and I probably should have delayed, but, you know, I don't know, I just figured I'd roll the dice.
Fog Warriors is out now. Does he have Fog Warriors? He does. He has all the things.
He does. So his army actually has a pretty good set of buffs scripted as well. I think he also puts out Will of Fates.
Yep, and poison resistance.
And poison resistance, right? And I think there's Fall Vapors that he casts. So he was scripted for, you know, Agartha to attack. And then the other sort of problem that I have here is that I'm doing a Heat from Hell in addition to Firestorm. And that would have actually probably killed most of Patala's army because they did not cast any fire resistance spell. And it's Heat 3 scales. But you can see that their things are not very heavily fatigued. I got worried because I knew they had Enchantment 7. They have an Enchantment 7 global up. That they were going to cast Mass Flight in their scripting because they, you know, against the Agartha had the superior army. And Storm in a hot province causes it to rain, which makes Heat from Hell not really do much.
Right.
So I actually countered my own Heat from Hell play by accident. And so you can see, you know, his army is you know, a lot of it is routed, and you can see those plumes going off. That's my
Phoenix Fire
Phoenix Fire
or Kamikazes
just doing their job.
There's one back here.
And they keep going for a while, yeah, because you know I've got relief up and invigoration my bless, but eventually they retreat at least.
There's a lot of people retreating.
It actually got really lucky on in the rolls, and that all of this high quality stuff routed immediately. I don't know exactly what story is, but like all of the sea trolls and Naga warriors ran first thing in this battle.
It looks like you're gonna win this.
Don't know why, yeah.
But I don't know if you can kill the
up.
Sea King. But I'm guessing it times out now, actually.
Yeah. The other thing that really helped him is having both Will of the Fates and Fog Warriors up meant my bombs mostly just took Fog Warriors off units. I didn't actually kill very many cold units.
Oh, you charmed this guy.
That's
pretty cool.
Yes. Yeah, I charmed the Sea King. You know, I think that's the one thing that I've actually gotten out of running up Thaumaturgy that high is charm is not a spell you'd normally be able to do.
Right.
You know, as a Rhaga research priority.
Who's your Fog Warrior caster? Because that guy deserves a fucking gold star.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or not Fog Warrior, Wailing Winds, this guy. Yeah, okay, he's decked out. He wasn't going to run, like, getting plinked in the head or something. He's ready to fight.
He wasn't going to run, and importantly, he had body armor, so that...
Yeah.
This is actually one of the things where Patala actually had their army set up very well for being suddenly attacked, in that they had this line of their 45 range longbows in front.
Right.
And they actually could reach my mages, even, you know, I was at the very back that I could possibly be at.
Yep.
And, you know, if he hadn't gotten that first volley up, it would have been, you know, Aerofund and Fog Warriors and so on would have prevented him from interrupting anything.
I did not expect you to win this once I saw that your Firestorm caster got killed.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and actually the victory ends up being pretty meaningful in that all of his communion slaves die.
Right.
So even
and you stole the Troll
almost
King.
nothing left on the battlefield. And I sold the Troll King, and, you know, he loses 52 PT. So it was Bergamum.
So you only lost a handful of mages. You lost like 6 mages. But you got a Troll King, and he lost 15 mages, 16 mages.
And 2 Troll Kings.
2 Troll Kings. And some of the guys probably died in the retreat, too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard for me to know what he lost in the retreat, but it's hard to imagine it not being significant. You know, I did lose all of my chaff. So this army is no longer functional as an army, you know. But
let's see how the rest of it plays out. And that was the one we just watched.
You guys should watch this one. This is my Storm Demon Force bumping 24 Naga Warriors. So that same Flyer Scout. So I think I had actually intentionally not attacked Zabalba's second water province last turn with this force because I might have been out of gems, but it was also like I was thinking that they might be a good player is going to anticipate that you're going to send this, and they could have sent a bug with a copper plate here or whatever,
Right.
and killed the squad. So I sort of waited to see that they didn't move anything there. And then
Yeah,
we
the nice
we
thing
get
is
some
when these
kills
storm
with
demons
break.
die, it triggers an HP route. Oh. That they
So
started the
my
route on
Gath
their
lost.
own. Huh.
This is a fine trade for me.
Yeah.
Like I lost some high quality troops, but so did he.
Okay.
Watch the battle on the silver wall. I just want to show this. This actually demonstrates the exact mechanic with those air elementals, because this is now attacking a province that contains 14 air elementals with no commander,
Right.
and they are immediately routed and start evaporating. And my guy, unfortunately, I had him on like hold orders that didn't last long enough, and flies in, and then he gets trampled to death.
Oh, see, they're
As
staying
they're
still.
evaporating.
Oh, but then they start moving. Oh my
And a
god.
lot of them wakes up and eats them.
Oh my god, that's so funny. I guess you need to send somebody out with a bow and arrow. Or a
I
mage.
think I just need to put them on 5 turns of hold. I bet I only
Or
held
you
for
just send
like
a
2 turns,
one-path mage
you know.
in just to cast spells.
Mhm.
Or a scout with a bow and
Um,
arrow. Okay, let's take a look, because we're really at the critical point of the game now. You put okay, did we see this? Let's take a look. This is the army on top of Zabalba's cap.
Yeah. You can see this is very much a sort of, I don't have, I think I might have some bird archers, but this is essentially all their classes of troops.
Yeah.
This is mostly my infantry, and the sort of motive for that is that, I'm expecting them to jump on me with their flyers and sort of be sort of a defensive position.
800 dudes here. Holy fuck.
They're probably starving. My current plan involves Wind of Death and that army. I haven't totally decided what the best way to do it is. I actually have mages I can cloud trapeze in that can do Wind of Death.
I think what you do is you Firestorm and Wailing Winds again. I mean, I don't think he's going to have a play for it, right? I think you move everything here on top of Micklin and fight him again.
Yeah, I think I either move everything on top of Micklin or PD dump Azamar if I don't think I have enough chaff, I think I basically do. I mean, the army there is pretty similar to the army that I just lost.
Yeah, you just put fire resistance on your troops, and you do Firestorm and Fog Warriors. The thing is, you make sure your guy, like if you have this is one of the things, like, so super important spells when you're putting an important army together, you want to cast it twice if you can. So like double scripting Firestorm is a totally fine thing to do, but beneath that, like, how you allocate out your armor should also depend on priority of spells. So the most important things here are Fog Warriors, Aerofend, and Firestorm and Warriors of Methuselah. Everything else, like Will of Fates, is nice to have. I think most everything else is nice to have. I might have missed one that's like really important, but Wailing Winds. So if you get Wailing Winds off, if you get Firestorm off, if you get Warriors of Niflheim off, and I mean, even Heat from Hell is not really going to matter.
Yeah, Heat from Hell is a sort of extra layer. I don't know. I think that I have to be careful taking a fight with that army. Patala has shown that they have some level 8 research. They've got Alteration 8. And they don't seem to have any fire mages, but if they also have Enchantment 8, they could actually, no, Alteration 8 is all they need. They can do with one of those Sea Kings.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Whole army fire resistance. So like my being able to kill that army with Firestorm relied on the element of surprise, which I have spent. There's some possibility that army right now doesn't have any gems because they were sitting in a lab and they just got gem baited effectively. And I don't think they expected to be where they are. So
yeah, that's a good point.
There's some chance of that. But I think the thing, like, that army is currently almost certainly starving because
I think you still take it. I think with just the thing, I think there's a very good chance Firestorm is going to deliver here. And then if it doesn't, as long as you get Fog Warrior, there's a very good chance Firestorm is going to deliver here still. Even if it doesn't, if you move all these things in and you get Fog Warriors off with Wailing Winds, you're still going to win the battle, I think. He just doesn't have a way to kill you before all his shit's going to run.
I think that is possible. I will note that, actually, if you watch the battle, it's pretty interesting. Just look at his high-quality troops' morale as they're running. The army of the Sea Kings and the Rhaga warriors start the battle with like 20-something morale. And it makes me think they must have been in a squad with something.
With something what?
Like those guys have 19 morale.
It's a 3
The
of it's
Sea
an
King,
experience bonus.
yeah. Well, that's a mage, so we don't want to look at the mage.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, so 19 morale on that Naga warrior.
Squad morale bonus 4.
God morale bonus plus 4.
Yeah, so
They've
he's
got some sort of morale
yeah,
gear
he does
thing
have morale gear for that.
going.
We could go
So that
through and
guy's got
inspect the commanders, but
like 70 of them. It'll take forever.
yeah, well, it's got to be one of these guys. The Nagaraj is probably. Do they really have 180 leadership by default? The fuck?
No, it's 120 plus experience.
Okay.
I think, or maybe even 80 plus 3 experience stars.
Well, that's going to get
Probably
you a long
80.
way. That's going to get you to, what, 3?
Yeah. Yeah. So the other complication, he's just got an inspirational leadership. I don't know. I'm not sure what it is, but in any case, they've got a lot of 20 morale troops, so they're not going to run quickly. Though they did in this particular battle for reasons I don't understand. Usually, with 20 morale, it takes 10, 20 turns for the Seatbulls to run, and they run on like turn 3. I think I could take a fight with them, but it would risk depleting my whole army sort of in this area. Like if I had another fight that went like that one. Anyway, the thing that I'm thinking about is I can cloud use one of my air mages on top of that army with Wind of Death, and do something like Horde from Hell or something like that to just provide a little bit of distraction so that he doesn't get hit, and just try to decay those Bandars. And then potentially set a second similar trap with my actual army there doing Wind of Death, because I don't actually have troops left in this army. And
yeah, I don't think that's a horrible idea.
Sort of,
I get it.
It's Magic 2 scales, and their base morale MR is like 8. So even with anti-magic up, I think they've got like 11.
No, that could work. But if this works, well, they're going to retreat inside the fort.
It won't actually destroy the army. The other thing,
now, if Firestorm goes off,
there'll be so many Bandars.
Almost destroy the army. Well, it'll probably kill a quarter of it.
Yeah. The other thing that I can do is there's some chance that they try to bring their army back to where it just was, because that sort of province actually controls the approaches to my territory.
Mm-hmm.
That they bring half of it there or something, or that they just think that they're going to finish off my forest. And I could do like a 40 PD dump, get a bunch of fire-resistant troops that way. You can actually see what a PD dump here would look like. I get fire-resistant militia and stuff past 20 PD.
Yeah.
And do Wailing Wind plus Wind of Death and get them to sort of route their own army from all the decaying guys dying, causing an HP rout or some sort of strategy like that. I mean, sort of on a strategic level, in some sense, as long as I can keep Patala pinned, like if they split that army, I can probably destroy the pieces.
This is a bit of an X factor.
Yeah, there's also that. And I do not have an app with Atlantis. So I think that Atlantis was probably moving that army there to attack Patala. So, yeah, well, we'll see. But
yeah, I mean, I would send maybe Atlantis a message saying, hey, let's eat Patala or something. I mean, if he's smart, he'll attack you. But
right. But it's worth a try,
I mean, I really can't emphasize enough. I think you want to do, I mean, it's almost even worth just alchemizing. I mean, maybe not this turn. You need to get your Dominion spread over here and get ready to drop Dark Skies. And
yeah, the other factor worth noting, if you look at the composition of that Patala army, if I can get it to chase me into a cold province, I can do Murdering Winter on it.
Yeah, you kill the Mage Core.
And they'll kill all the Yogis. And if I can kill the Yogis, then
they do have a lower hit chance for commanders in Murdering Winter. It's like, I think it's...
Yeah.
I want to say it's only like 20% of them get hit or something. I can't remember exactly how it works, but...
I think it's just, well, the thing which is described in the spell description, which could be inaccurate, is that it does 8 plus 2 per cold skill, so 14 damage, and commanders it's reduced to like 3, by 3 or something. It's be an 11.
Yeah,
sort of roll.
I've got Loggy's thing. We'll pull it up real quick.
Yeah, but one of the challenges that I have in fighting that army is that all of my big spells, all of the fates, Smog Warriors, etc., I can only easily cast via using my Air 3 S1 W1 plus the random mages.
Yeah.
So they actually have a fantastic potential to really mess me up with Magic Duel. So killing those yogis would actually be quite significant.
Yeah, I'm sorry. 3 less damage. Fails to cast into a province with heat 3. Okay. So for commanders, it would be 8
11.
plus 6 minus 3. So it's 11. Yeah.
11.
Okay. That's still worth
And
it.
yogis, I think, are like, I don't know, maybe they're like 9 hit
Yeah.
points. I don't remember. So it wouldn't kill them all, but it would, a lot of them. And the ones that survive, if there was a battle that turn, would have a good chance of routing to Wailing Winds very early.
Yeah.
You know, the key issue, like, again, if you look at the surviving troops in their army, you know, from the battle report, I think they still have like 30 yogis in that province.
Yeah.
And
I think,
you know, it sort of makes it impossible for me to use, you know, sort of any of my Seraph mages against that army.
if I PD dump
Like, I could
anywhere,
try
I
it,
think these are the
you know.
things to prepare for this time. I think you assume Atlantis attacks you here. And I think you want to have people on guard commander, like, because Atlantis is slow. That's like the thing with Atlantis, is they're super fucking slow. I would just have Blood Rain, Wailing Winds up here with your commanders having high morale. I would try to get your Dominion here too, because that's going to be a 2 morale shift. Super important even without Dark Skies. And have enough PD to sit there, and then hopefully you can also do, you know, I would just have a Firestorm Wailing Winds trap here with Blood Rain, if you can manage that.
I think that one of the better options is to sort of retreat my army from Patala and set up, you know, that sort of trap there, and set up some traps to find attrition. Patala's sort of main army, and
think,
you know, sort of.
I think strategically, the only thing I don't love about your position is just like we're going into this phase where we're making the moves to like close the game out to become super dominant, and when everybody attacks you, the plan is that you're going to have Dark Skies on the flank. Like that's a core part of the strategy to defend. So, okay, you started to get your Dominion here. That's good. So I think we got to preach really hard and get your Dominion out here.
Yeah, or you know, I let the enemy, you know, advance a little bit. Like one thing
But this is a fort.
observe. Not the fort, but sure, you know, give up that fort. I don't need that fort to win the game.
Yeah.
Oh, and I think it's worth doing a quick look at the throne situation.
Okay.
You know, right now I have 3 thrones, plus I control the fort at the Iron Throne, which I took from Zabalba.
Yeah.
There's an indie throne that is next to Zabalba that I don't think anybody could stop me from taking at that wasteland near the front of the screen. Like, you know, you cast Fog Warriors and, you know, Thunderboard, and like that throne becomes easy. Lose some stuff on the drop from the Springhawks, but it, you know. And if my army, you know, I think the big variable is whether my army is on Zabalba's capital and has it cracked this turn, is able to win that battle without, you know, being sort of destroyed in terms of its combat power. Like if I win that battle and that army is still able to be used, you know, I can gateway all the Storm Demons to the Gath front. You know, there's a lot of military power there. That
I'd be inclined to have that.
Yeah.
I don't think you want to invade Gath, and I think you are fully capable of defending with what you have over here. But I think you need Dark Skies. Like here's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Let me put it in different words. I think you will struggle militarily defeating the entire coalition without Dark Skies. That's what I think. Like this Atlantis army deserves a fair amount of respect, assuming he has decent research. But it doesn't matter if you have Dark Skies and Dominion and Blood Rain and Wailing Winds, because it's just going to instantly run. You know, it's like, oh, you brought all this shit. We don't fucking care.
Yeah, I think the other thing worth looking at is research. So
do we have that graph?
You know, a few.
Oh no,
we do not. You can look at the army size graph. That one is actually a little bit fun, just because you can see what the effect of that, you know, chaff recruiting spree was like. How often do you see an army size increase like that was recruiting troops with gold?
Right.
You know, and does not at all have Gift of Nature's bounty, which I don't have the gem income to fight for in this type of game. Yeah, I think, you know, there's range of possibilities though. You know, one is that, you know, I think I can get a 9 in about 3 turns, which would be about in time for the Gath War. So, I could potentially go for Army of Gold and, potentially, depending on where Gath is in their own research, Army of Gold plus Firestorm and a bunch of chaff and plus like a communion of air mages doing thunder strikes, could just destroy the Gath army.
Yeah.
And I will note that Rhaga Fort PD, I think, just like a ridiculous amount of garbage per point,
Oh yeah, that's an extra
Um,
large amount.
So I think it's 4 units per PD point early, and then it goes up to 5 plus an archer.
Right.
4. So it'll be sort of, you do a 40 PD dump, and you just have this enormous swarm of fire-resistant infantry who won't take any damage from the firestorm without any buffs, and even you can cast mass protection, and they'll still be good.
Right.
So anyway, I think I have some options. I definitely like the sort of to-do item for the next few turns is to design what sort of my armies are going to be on the Gath border.
I think this is the most important part right here. I wouldn't give up this. The thing is, let me tell you why I wouldn't give this fort up. Because you actually have initiative right here. Like, it doesn't look like you do. It looks like he has initiative. This actually is a good thing for you. Because he thinks he has initiative, but he doesn't, because we know he's going to attack, and we know he's going to attack here. If he's a normal, rational human being.
Yeah.
Right? That means we could put 2 Wind of Death casters or whatever, right? Behind Firestorm and Wailing Winds or like whatever, and a huge PD dump.
Yeah.
And if this army gets eliminated, then it's Patala and the Gath. Gath, you have enough stuff over here to mostly hold, especially if we do Dark Skies. Then it's Patala and whatever like little bit of garbage Atlantis can muster. If you can kill this army, this is why I wouldn't give the fort up. If you can kill this army, which it's going to be harder to do once his moves become less predictable. But this is like predictable. It's onto a thing where you were just talking about. You get all this cheap PD, right?
Yep.
It's predictable.
And I've got reinforcements that can I can add 100 crossbows to it or whatever, which could be quite significant, even if he has Aerofend in terms of being able to chip his troops down. Or certainly,
fair.
Water elementals he might summon or whatever.
Yeah, I how many Wind of Death casters can you muster?
I mean, it sort of depends. One thing to note is that I have a few of these random. So that guy's a Wind of Death caster with some boosters and stuff. There's two of him in that province. I'm pretty sure I have somebody who's so there's 2 there. That's the easiest bit. You just do that.
Got these eyes in the void. Yeah, I would probably do it as part of a communion and just be like, fuck you, and do like 3 casts each as part of a communion and just blast the whole army. And then like, you'll also kill your own dudes doing that.
Oh, it'll be my PD, and
I think you do life after death. Do you have that?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, yeah, I do life after death too, as you can, because you're going to nuke the shit out of your own dudes.
Their dudes actually have better MR than mine, but the thing is that their troops are valuable in a way that, certainly my PD and even, my actual army troops are not particularly.
I think this is the thing. Depending how deep you can go into the paint for... What do you actually need? What if you just moved all these guys over here? You got a few guys here too. I think you've moved all these guys here. I know it kind of sucks.
Also, the army that fought Patala is at the lab, so all of them can be given mobility gear to get over.
Yeah.
For the ones who aren't fast enough to get there.
But here's my thinking. If you drop like Sabbath Communion a lot of Winds of Death, you're going to kill all your own crossbows. I wouldn't do that. I would keep the crossbows available for other things.
Yeah, the crossbows should not be there. I think if it's PD and some smaller force of troops, like maybe just some archers or something, like the archers are super replaceable.
The only thing to mention about Wind of Deathing this army is their guys live a long time. So
yeah, it might actually not kill them. That's actually a very good point.
It won't kill them from the age, but it will kill them unless they have mass regen, which is not something you would exactly expect.
Their research has not seemed particularly impressive thus far. They just took so much loss to Lemuria.
So they should still die then. as long as they don't have mass regen. But just note, if they do ever get up where they can paint mass regen, they'll be pretty much immune to winning
Yeah, of course.
And then, of course, if your army's hanging around, so, while you're at it, I'd say proper protocol here would be like put, Starshine Skullcap on one of these guys, right? Or he could do, power the spheres and then anti-magic. You ideally want the anti-magic to go off before you start dropping all of your wood to death.
Worst case, I have a bunch of S2s that I could.
Right.
I guess Cloud Trapeze won't work, but I have a boot to the 7 mile side. Like I will be able to get something there. I might have to risk some gear that has some value to do it, just because I did really clear out a lot of my troops south.
And that's the nice thing too about doing Life After Death is it's much more likely you'll keep your gear because they'll retreat and live inside the fort. Yeah, and then you probably want to throw up Wailing Winds pretty early in the script too. And that's the other thing nice about doing a really big PD dump is your commanders will get HP routed before they get killed, most likely, especially a slow moving army like Atlantis.
Yeah, that's probably right. And I'll still need some independent troops because, like, those long dead horsemen will definitely flank you if all that you've got is PD.
Yeah.
But there's a number of ways to do that, including just having a ball of archers, with that job. And once Fog Warriors is up, the long dead horsemen won't be able to kill anything really.
Yeah. So I think that's like the big strategic moves. This and Zabalba. I think Zabalba, you have pretty well figured out. Air elementals are going to be great in case he can't get enough shock resistance on his god. Weapons of sharpness is going to be sick. Your soul slay stuff should be good. I feel like you're going to have this covered. I'm not actually very worried about that.
I think the big risk for me is just that, I'm sure that he has whatever assassins he's got left there, including some lifelong protection assassins. And I actually was thinking about whether I should actually storm or whether it would be better to either stay put or something else, because there's a risk that there's some assassin stuff to deal with. And here's the other thing: I think he probably rides out this turn. That's the other note, because if he doesn't, like, he knows that I'm doing this Wailing Wind stuff. I did it in all 3 of his other fort battles.
Yeah.
So if he doesn't do that, he sort of loses his whole mage core without them getting to do that much.
Yeah. I mean, the big risks of storming are that the commanders attached to the units die. So, or the commanders die that have units attached to them, or they retreat.
Yeah.
That's a significant risk.
And one of the things I need to do is move a bunch of those troops to all be on guard commander, so that this army does not have, at least has some chance against assassins.
Yeah, I feel okay with that. I think you could do it either way. I mean, one thing I was going to say, if you're not going to change what you're going to do, depending on what you find when you poke your head inside, there's probably not a reason to not storm. But if you think there's a high chance he's going to ride out, and the assassins is normally an argument to go ahead and storm because you don't want to sit on there any longer than you have to. But maybe you think you'll kill a lot of them and you don't want to risk things. So I think you could do it either way. I don't really have a super strong opinion. They have pros and cons each way.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if the assassins are effective, they've got lifelong protection and shock resistance gear or something like that, then, it'll probably be better to storm more quickly so that they don't get, multiple rolls. Right. And I do have so many commanders there that, I'll need to do some redundancy sort of work on particularly important buffs, but to some extent, I can just rely on the fact that it's unlikely an assassin will hit the key mage because I've got 50 commanders there.
I mean, I think the main thing, if Firestorm actually goes off, which we have yet to see it actually go off yet, but if it goes off, it's just going to delete this army if they don't have fire resistance on it. So, and then you'll HP out the army, it'll just be the god, and can you kill it? And it's like, so if I would double script Firestorm, because that's one, if you're worried about assassins, you don't want them to kill one guy and then that be the end of your assassin dreams. I mean, your Firestorm dreams.
I can have like a Magus with, on that job or as the second cast,
right?
Whatever.
Yeah.
The one downside of Firestorm here is that I'll definitely kill my own stuff. I can protect the communion and a bunch of my high value things, but I think I can protect basically all of my mages. But it's
do you have mass regen?
Not. No.
Huh?
I get it next turn.
Ooh, that's an argument to wait a turn too, then. Because mass regen plus Will of Fates, and 5 fire resistance, you won't lose hardly anything. But you will get chip damage coming through Firestorm. with just 5 fire resistance.
And it's worth noting that, a lot of my mages are fire ones. So those guys can cast protection from fire and get to 15 fire resistance and be totally fine.
Yeah.
Like the Lizard Shaman,
Okay.
Canadian Masters.
I think getting Mass
fire
Regen
resistance
this
here, which is
turn makes a pretty good case to wait 1 round. Because that is going to save you probably 100 troops.
And I can try to preach his Dominion out or something.
Yeah.
While I'm... Maybe it won't work. It's maybe
Pretty
too many
high.
candles.
Yeah. I think that's going to work.
But-
You don't really have many priests here either.
Yeah, it's true. It's actually one thing that's a little bit not how I'd planned. I originally expected to make a bunch of those avatars and have a ton of the sort of Farcaster mages, and ended up for the sort of cold mage production making a lot of the Arya Seraphs instead.
Right.
And I'm still not really sure whether that's going to turn out well, because there is sort of the magic duel issue. I so far have not been punished by it, but Zabalba is sort of the one nation that, Zabalba and Agartha, I guess, are not going to be doing magic duel against me, but basically all the other powers, if they wanted to, Gath could bring 20 magic duel casters.
Yeah.
And I'll need to think about how much I want to, bring air booster gear so that I can cast Bug Warriors without, that, or probably more likely use a communion of these guys and, just have an Air 1 cast Fog Warriors instead.
Okay. All right, so we're at
anyway.
an hour. We're over an hour. So let's close this out. I'll give you my closing thoughts here. I think, first of all, amazing job against Zabalba. It's been an extremely technical, cool to watch birding. I love seeing this from Cold Rhaga. It's awesome. The Zabalba war is almost over, and it's only been like 4 turns of war.
3? Maybe 3.
Yeah. And wait, where did Zabalba's big army go, by the way?
It's inside the capital. So one thing which we didn't talk about is that we could actually see their armies inside their forts because I was using Scrying Pool to ensure that. But my spell ran out this turn.
Gotcha.
So we don't get to
Okay.
see.
So yeah, great job versus
there's, like,
Zabalba.
images there.
I'm expecting really, really cool things for the fort storming here, whenever that does happen. And I think it's unfortunate this thing didn't work. It's a super easy thing. I mean, it's something, it was like the thing I was looking for last turn. It was like, are we doing turn 1 Aerofend? But that's really insufficient. You also need some protective gear on the important mages.
Yeah.
But, it's an easy thing to overlook. If this had worked, it would have been just, so beautiful. But as it didn't, there's things to worry about. I think your number one, having Dominion in your forts is so important right now because it's going to give you a 2-point morale swing, and it's going to set up for Dark Skies. So I think that's actually like far more important than any researching, probably more important than blood hunting. Like this thing right here, you're like, oh, we can blood hunt. It's like, yeah, no, we need to get this up to the highest we can preach to in a temple. Oh, there's no temple here, which is 2 or 4. So everything needs to be maxed out. If there's a temple we can get, if you have spare money, do we need to build troops? Sort of, really, we need to build temples. Because the thing is
we need troops is the problem. I mean, just fighting wars on all of these fronts, I don't think that I think it'll be a lot easier if I've got another 50 to 100 troops that could be used to protect mages when doing.
I don't think you.
All of these PD dump plays.
I mean, look, let me show you what I'm talking about. Okay, this guy has 13 morale. How much do the zealots have? 14 morale. Okay, so the zealots.
Yeah.
All right, these guys, let's say they get a commander bonus of 2. We'll give them a commander bonus of 2. So they're at 16 morale.
No, I mean, I think you're right. Like the whatever boost they have, even if they get up to 22 or something, reducing it by 3 or 4 with Dark Spies plus 4 from Blood Rain, brings that down to normal unit morale, or even elite unit morale. But, we saw that the Patala army routed with much better morale than that.
Right. But let's say it's at 16. They lose 1 morale now from enemy dominion, so they're at 15. They then are going to lose 5 more because we're in 5 friendly dominion for Dark Skies. So that's going to be 10. They're going to lose 4 more morale from Blood Rain, right? So that's going to put them at 6. That is 6 is literally first turn of war route with Wailing Wind up. And the thing is this is going to be more morale than a lot of his mages have. He literally, like, mages that don't have gear aren't going to be able to participate. It's
They'll be able to be convenient slaves, and that's
right.
about it.
The only thing he'll be able to hope to do is to bring the Seer and get turn 1 buffs off before the mages run, and then do like Growing Fury and say, good fucking luck, Seer. We hope you can kill everything without us watching.
See, you're a demon, so they have 30 morale to start with. I don't think that they're going to run regardless.
Yeah, well, I mean, okay, so you wouldn't have to do. Well, you might need to do Growing Fury because the commanders could run, and then that would trigger the army route.
Yeah,
like the demons will still run if you get an army route.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
having one thug, that doesn't run, it's a lot easier.
Sure.
Keeping the mage core in place.
So, I think that's just what I'm emphasizing is like we need temples, lots of temples, and preaching every single province that you have. Like that's something to think about for logistics too, is like moving these holy 2 priests in position wherever you have them, and just get every single fort up to 4 or 5 dominion. And then next turn, when it's this turn for like Atlantis is looking, there's no point casting it now for Atlantis to attack you. But like when this equivalent turn comes over here with Gath, and you're like, okay, Gath is about to attack, it's going to be a little hard to know which province he's going to hit. But
that's the one big problem with this layout is just that I won't have predictability about where his army's going.
All right. But whenever you think the big war is going to happen, you pop Dark Skies, boom.
Yeah.
It's going to be beautiful.
Yeah, and then ideally you land some birds on the place that he just moved out from and put off the retreat.
Yeah, that would be the Jedi level move. But this is fun. I was worried that this game would end without too much ado. Like you would just steamroll Zabalba, they wouldn't wake up. But it looks like they've seen what's happening. They've invested time in this game, and they don't want you to just get a free win. And they're mobilizing, so we're gonna have some cool shit happening. It's very cool shit.
So I'm excited. Thanks everyone for watching.
Yeah. What are you, just as we close out, what are you looking, what's your number one thing you're looking forward to, and what's your number one fear for the next few turns?
Well, the thing I'm looking forward to is getting to fight some of these Gath armies, because I think that they're going to be really cool. Yeah. He's been doing some pretty interesting scripting, and he's got sort of the economy where even with all the losses he's taken from Ulm, he's going to have some real armies.
Yeah.
In terms of what I'm dreading, it's really just the combinatorial complexity of late game, right? Like, one of the reasons that I targeted Zabalba as the first nation to kill is that they're the main nation with assassins and sort of those types of features. They're also the most mobile nation, and it just helps me bound the complexity of fighting. Patala is a map of one nation by and large.
Right.
So, I'm sure they'll have they do have fine thugs against some of the astral pearls and the like, but at least sort of they're the best nation on this.
Yeah. Yeah, what you said about complexity is important. I know like in single player when you're fighting the AI or something, that's one of the reasons, and like zooming in here on this province, it's one of the reasons why you want to take fights like this when you can screw him over. Because like imagine if he takes this forward, then it's like, oh god, where is he gonna go with it? That's when the complexity comes in. Like right now it's somewhat simple because we have a pretty predictable move. But when it's like once you have a front complete, and maybe that's a reason to just not, I was feeling like, okay, let's roll the dice with the monkeys. Maybe that's a reason to not roll the dice with the monkeys too much right now, given that this sort of semi-failed. Because I think the thing that really makes the complexity increase is when you have a front collapse. Right? And if a front doesn't collapse, things are still kind of simple.
Yeah, that's right. And also, I potentially can, if I can get him to chase into my dominion, if that army actually walks that far away from their resupply lines and I kill the yogis, then I can land 20 Thunderstrike casters on it, or there's sort of like a bunch of options that become available to me that are not currently available.
Cool. This is super exciting. I'm almost hesitant to wait until the next time we sit together and record, because I feel like it's going to be so freaking interesting the next 5 turns. But thanks for joining me.
Well, I think thanks for watching, everyone, and thanks for doing the series. It's been fun.
Yeah, cool. Take care.